What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/regular revenge. Alright, this story's called Cheater Gets What the Doctor Ordered. I posted this in both r/petty revenge and r/ProRevenge, but it was removed, so I'm sharing it here in hopes that this is the right place. Enjoy! Alright, this is a long one, but I feel the context helps. I am not sure if this is petty or perhaps more. Either way, this happened when I was right out of high school with my first girlfriend whom I was in love with. We had been together for our last year and a half or so of high school. We were each other's firsts in many ways, and being young and naive, I had thought I'd found the one, and that it was going to go on forever. The summer after we graduated was great, and things were going well, but she received an athletic scholarship for soccer to a university about 3 to 4 hours away. Being the hopeless romantic I am, I thought, no big deal, I can make this work. We are in love after all. This was about 16 years ago now, so FaceTime was not a thing, but we would talk on the phone whenever we could or maybe have a little AIM session. While in high school, my girlfriend would drink at parties like many teens do at that age. I never tried drinking and actually haven't to this day. I'm now 35, but once she went off to college, she really seemed to go into full party mode. I didn't really care much except for the fact that she had an athletic scholarship that could be revoked if she was caught. Also, due to the season starting in the fall, she went off to school early, so the campus wasn't fully occupied, so I thought again it seemed a bit risky. I was assured that all of the coaches and RAs were cool with it. Well, being the younger and much more insecure guy that I was at the time, I started to get nervous when I found out that the men's and women's soccer teams were both there. Slowly over the first couple of weeks she was away, calls would get sent to voicemail, or if they were answered, she would be with friends. This was wreaking havoc on my teenage brain and heart, so in my mind, my idea of being a hopeless romantic was to make the drive unannounced and surprise her at school. This was before the days of smartphones and GPS units, and I didn't have her dorm number or anything, so I jumped on MapQuest and printed the directions to the university and figured I would call her when I got there, and voila, problem solved. So I hopped in my car with a CD I had burned for her the night before and made the 4-hour drive to a city I'd never been to. Upon arriving there, I called her and received no answer. Maybe she was at practice since it was still earlier in the day. So I decided to drive through campus to get an idea of where things were. I'm cruising through the campus and nearly hit this guy who ran out in front of me. We both fully saw it happening in slow motion, but luckily avoided any incident. It was like that scene in Pulp Fiction where Marcellus walks in front of Butch's car and they lock eyes, except I didn't run him down. After that little shakeup, I decided to shoot her another call, and this time she picked up. Practice had finished and they went to Dairy Queen after. I ended up asking her which dorm she was in case I wanted to send her a letter in the mail. Smooth, I thought. So I drove to a store near the campus and grabbed a card, some flowers, and her favorite candy. Somehow I still remember they were crispy M&Ms. I ended up heading to her dorm with my gifts in tow. Knocked on her door and said, "Surprise!" Only she didn't look happy to see me. She looked uncomfortably surprised to see me. That's when I noticed another person in her door. And lo and behold, it was the guy I'd almost hit with my car. I didn't know what to do, so I just said, "Oh, okay. This was for you," and handed her the stuff I'd brought. I sulked back to my car, feeling like a total dumbass for wasting my time and emotions on this girl, only to have her and some guy play me. On the way home, she called to try to explain that they had started dating, and that he was an upperclassman and also one of the coaches. That's when it clicked. She has mentioned this guy before, and coincidentally, he would always be around when she was with friends. I also remembered he was one of the cooler upperclassmen men's RAs who was also old enough to buy beer for everyone. I told her I was done and didn't want to speak to her again. The whole drive home, I was trying to come up with a way to get back at them for breaking my heart. And by the time I got home, I'd come up with my plan. Her mother was a doctor, and this was the early 2000s where you could use a free email service and get an @doctors.com address. I'd set one up under her mother's name. I also knew this guy's first name and that he was a soccer coach and player on the team. He was an upperclassman, so I searched for the university's roster from the past season and games, and this being a smaller town, there weren't many guys with the same first name, and I was able to get his full name. Finally, I emailed the dean and CC'd the athletics directors listed on the university site from my new @doctors.com email as a concerned mother. I was concerned about a coach and RA having a relationship with a freshman female player, and also for a coach RA to be supplying underage teenagers with alcohol on school property. Now, my ex-girlfriend ended up calling me a few weeks later to tell me she was sorry. We chatted for a few minutes and she mentioned that her and her new boyfriend were in some trouble with the school, and he ended up being kicked off the team as well as being kicked out of the school due to some parental complaints. Turns out he was actually supplying a ton of kids' booze and stuff and allowing parties on his dorm floor. She was put on some type of academic probation and almost lost her scholarship. Like I said, this may be beyond petty, but at the time it just felt justified, and he was technically breaking the rules. And hearts in my case, I wonder whatever happened to that guy. I'm probably on some Billy Madison kill list now. Yikes, poor guy. Honestly, well, it's a good thing he got over it. And good revenge, solid revenge. Pretty good. Not pro, not petty, just pretty good. Alright, this story's called Touch My Books, Have Some Gummy Bears. Oh, I know where this is going. Hey y'all! It's been a while since I posted here, but this story came up in a recent conversation. It made people laugh, so I thought I'd share the petty joy. Also, I would like to note here that I'm an avid book collector. Even though many of my books are secondhand, stained, and kind of funny looking, they are my children. Sounds like my children. All names are fake, of course. Okay, buddy, are you just writing about my children? Many moons ago, my friend Brendan lost his job, his girlfriend Cammy, and his apartment in a span of about a month. I'm assuming in that order. Women, I'm joking. I'd leave someone if they lost their job too. That's just me, I'm shallow. Brendan called everyone he could think of, pleading with him to take him in. Originally, I told him no. However, when everyone up to and including his family turned him down, I relented and told him he could sleep on my couch until he found a job and a place to live. Unlike many people on Reddit, Brendan was actually a decent apartment guest. He washed the dishes he used, kept his belongings in an orderly corner of my living room, and quickly found a job at a fast food place so he could help out with the groceries and some of the bills. Neither of us truly enjoyed living with one another, but we made it work until Cammy decided that she loved Brendan and wanted him back, and Brendan, being a fool, accepted. When Brendan and Cammy had first started dating, Cammy decided she hated all of Brendan's female friends and tried to keep us away. Oh, when her dramatic tactics did not work on me, Cammy decided we needed to have a brawl. To keep this short-ish, Cammy's nose got broken, my knuckles were sore for a few days, and the words self-defense were used and accepted. Hey-oh. It's funny that I said women, but you're literally a woman. Just goes to show, generalizations are only to be used for comedic purposes, to make fun of people who actually believe in them. Due to our history, I told Brendan he could keep living with me, but Cammy was not allowed into my apartment. Sadly, Brendan did not listen to me, and the first time Cammy came over, she decided that my bookshelves needed a bit of reordering. The stack I had set aside to mend were rubbish and tossed them out, and wouldn't you know it, I owned her favorite series, so she needed it. I'm not sure if any of you have a crazy book person in your life, but as soon as I got home that night, I noticed what had happened to my books. I calmly berated Brendan and told him he would be dumpster diving to retrieve the books that had been tossed, and if Cammy did not return the series, I would be filing a police report, and of course he needed to leave. With his head hung low, Brendan complied with my demands, gathered his things, and left. I was fuming, so I called a mutual book lover and friend and told her about what had happened. She was furious as well and told me that she would have words with both Brendan and Cammy when they came over for a housewarming party she was having the next evening. I couldn't attend due to work. I giggled, laughed, and then asked her if I could make a housewarming treat for her, though it would be better if she didn't eat any. Confused but knowing me, my friend agreed. I rushed to the liquor store, bought some vodka, then stopped by a candy shop and bought a rather large number of sugar-free gummy bears. And when they were both combined, took them over to my friend's house to stew for the next day. I warned my friend, and cackling, she said she'd make sure Cammy ate lots, though she didn't think it would be a struggle because Cammy loved vodka and she loved gummy bears. I heard through the grapevine a few weeks later that Brendan had dumped Cammy that night because when they were testing out the bed springs on Cammy's new bed, she just couldn't hold her bowel movements. Sorry this got so long, but I hope you giggled at least a bit. Have a great night/day. You too. That was funny. I'm glad. Well, she pooped. I want to say the S word. Miss Obama, I'm gonna say the S word. I don't even know if that's how that meme goes. I'm kind of tired, yo. Anyway, do what OP said and have a great night and day, or day and day, both, forever and ever, until you don't. But then I hope the next one's even better to make up for it. Even better than, the usual. You know what I'm saying? Alright, this story's called My Homophobic Stepmother Was Very Mean and Abusive Toward Me, so I had her work email flooded with newsletters and Scientology spam. So early this year, in the spring, I, 15 male, was sent away from my parents to live with my biological father and his wife, who we will call Chris. Now, at first, everything was fine despite my hesitations, but later on in my stay with them, Chris and her husband showed their true colors as being relatively abusive and very close-minded, which made me feel very unsafe and led to my mental health tanking so much I didn't want or couldn't do things like eat or walk. Some examples of the things they did to me included, and are not limited to, Chris threatened to throw me and my possessions out of her house and force me to sleep in a tent outside of her house if I ever broke her microwave. Chris and my biological dad took huge issue in me being gay and tried to force me to see the light about why being gay was wrong by using a Bible to force me to realize that being gay was wrong and to confess that I really was gay to them because they felt that being gay was akin to being a kid diddler. Oh boy. Tried to coerce me into saying that my real parents were abusive in order to force me into staying with them permanently. Both, mostly bio dad, badmouthed my mother from time to time and tried to get me to dislike her while also simultaneously berating and belittling me and insulting my intelligence on a regular basis. Prevented me from going to school because my school at the time was online and Chris hated online school because she didn't want me to have the internet and she felt like online school was bullcrap, etc. But nothing compares to the time where my bio dad assaulted me and threatened me with knives, which forced me to call the police on him and Chris, after which they kept me prisoner inside their house for around a week and tried to get me to confess to being a kid diddler because Chris looked up inappropriate pictures on her cell phone and said that I wanted to diddle my siblings because I told her I was excited to go home. So naturally, when I got back to my real home, I was much more than a little bit pissed. For a good solid month afterwards, I was stewing in my hatred and anger that I had towards both Chris and my biological father. Eventually, though, I ended up snapping when I remembered how smug Chris looked and the things she stated before I was due to leave her home, and decided that on some level, that evil bimbo had to pay. Even if I could only cause her a minor inconvenience, it would be very worth it to me. I remembered my stepmother's work email and home address, so over the course of several days, I inputted that info into various websites and shop accounts. Newsletters that will be delivered to you virtually at least once a day? Click. Wonder about Scientology and all of the wonderful things that it teaches? Click. Want to see some hot lesbians or gay men have oral or booty sex? Click! After I had done this, I bursted out giggling because I knew that Chris and her husband probably wouldn't catch on to who had done it and how to stop it from happening. You see, they were both very tech illiterate and had to receive help to even do the most basic things like put in a password for their iPhone. So naturally, who's to say that they would figure it out that I was the one who signed my stepmother up for all of those things? Months passed afterwards, and I decided that I wanted to know what had happened after I had signed up Chris to all of those newsletters and gay video of the adult variety subscriptions. I googled her name on the school directory that contained her email that I had used to sign her up for all the gay stuff, and I couldn't find her name or work email listed anywhere. It was like she had never even existed at that school, because everything that was on that site about her was scrubbed clean. After I saw that, I bursted out laughing so hard, I almost pissed myself. It's been a while since I left the abuse, and I am much better mentally and physically with my mother and stepdad than I was living with Chris and her husband. Hell, I'm even thinking about taking dual enrollment classes at my local community college after I graduate my sophomore year, which was something that never would have happened had I stayed to live with Chris. So yeah, hi family, if you're reading this, and to Chris. If you ever end up reading or hearing about this Reddit post, you are a vile bimbo and you deserved that junk mail. Yes. Very good. Yes, that is honestly really good revenge. And I hope she lost her job. Because that's horrible treatment. Like, it's one thing if she even just had those beliefs, like, gross. But also, like, the fact that she acted on them. Well, yeah, that's grounds for removal from society's sphere of existence. I'm playing somewhat. Yeah, sucks that they would do that to a freaking kid. But good job, man. That was some good revenge, and I hope it doesn't get to you too much. All right, just think about it. The world is getting so much better, more progressive. Okay, this type of stuff sucks. It sucks that it still happens. But you know what? Like freaking 10 years ago, it was not even just like common. It was like, okay, not 10 years ago, let's say like 15 years ago, it wasn't just common, it was like normalized almost. So just like hang in there, bro. It's gonna be so much greater in like 5 years even. Here's to growth and coolness. That's gonna be my campaign slogan when I run for president, inevitably, and I'm gonna include that voice crack: growth and coolness. So what I'm basically gonna do to really amp up my campaign, throughout the course of my campaign, I am going to grow like 3 inches and just like slowly grow more cool. So that's me growing and being cool, growth and coolness. And throughout the entire presidency, which I will inevitably get in a landslide victory because that's amazing campaigning, I'm gonna grow an additional 3 feet. So I'm gonna be up there and I'm gonna look even cooler. I'm basically just gonna turn into like a really tall Jack Black, because Jack Black is like the zenith of badassery. I don't even know if I use that word correctly.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.